Good afternoon and welcome to All About Animals. I'm Sherry Gradator and I am in a refuge adoption program, whatever we want to call it, guys, for large hookbills, would we say?
Sure, that'd fit.
Okay, large hookbills, parrots, cockatoos. I don't know what all else you have here. I can tell you there are a lot of birds in this building. And let you both introduce yourselves.
Well, I'm Rich Weiner, and I'm the CEO of a Refuge for Saving the Wildlife.
I'm Karen Weiner. I'm his wife.
And both of you work with the birds,
yep.
Correct? And there are a lot of birds here. And there are a lot of birds that most likely people purchased for a lot of money. And they're here, and this is their home, and certainly, hopefully, for many of them, their temporary home. But whoever purchased them didn't keep them. And one of the things we want to talk to is, why are they here?
Well, there are lots of reasons that people give us. I'm getting divorced, I'm getting married, I've got a new job, I'm moving, I'm downsizing, I'm upsizing, the boyfriend doesn't like him, the girlfriend doesn't like him. The biggest reason that is really underlying it all is that they didn't get educated about what it's like to live with one of these creatures.
Well, okay. Educate me. What is it like to live with one of these creatures?
Well, first off, they are not domesticated like dogs and cats are. They're only 1 to 2 generations out of the wild. Hence, they're wild animals. They have all their wild instincts, so they're not the easiest to live with. So what we try to teach people is that you need to understand that you need to create an environment that is going to be conducive to living with these guys, as opposed to saying, well, gee, I'll get the green one because it matches my drapes, and I can throw some birdseed in the cage and it'll entertain me for the rest of my life. And that's definitely not the case. We try to start people out small that have no bird experience, because these guys, like I said, are wild animals and will still bite. And we get bit. It's just one of the hazards of living with these guys.
And yet they're incredibly affectionate. I'm watching you sitting and petting a bird who's somewhat nervous and is being calmed by your hand on him. So yes, they can be pets, yes?
Absolutely. Make great companion animals for the right home and the right setting.
Small children?
Depending on the bird. We do adopt to families with small children, but it also depends on their knowledge. What size bird? The children, how involved are they going to be? Large bird, like Georgie, Macaw, small children, no, probably not.
Okay.
Fingers go into the cage and then you'll have a finger bitten, so unfortunately that's...
And those beaks are pretty powerful.
Very powerful.
So they can, if they bite, do some significant damage.
Absolutely, and you have to be able to read them. That's what we train our volunteers for. We take less bites, the better we can read the bird. They'll give you warnings before, but young children can't see those warnings, and it's a safety issue. But if they grow up with birds, you start off small on the smaller size of a bird, grow up to a larger bird, that child grows up with the bird, then you step yourself up there to a bird Georgie size.
Okay, and another thing that we've talked about is the amount of time that birds live. Okay? So say I'm 65 years old, which is pretty much where I am right now, and I want to go out and get a macaw. And I want a baby hand-fed little macaw. What do I have to plan for with that bird?
A will. Plan for somebody in the family to take that bird. You've got a bird that has the capabilities of living, they say, 80 years. So you have to make sure that you have someone to be able to care for that bird when you're gone. We do that. We do have people that have signed out wills, and the bird will come to us at some point, but you do have to make arrangements for that.
So you have to know that that bird can live up to 80 years.
Absolutely.
And if you're my age, ideally you don't want a little baby, maybe you would adopt.
Yep.
That would be a good idea, would it not?
Excellent idea. We actually just adopted a macaw that was about 13, 14 years old to a gentleman who's 80. And he's already made arrangements. He actually knew that he obviously wasn't going to outlive this macaw, And he couldn't be happier, but he does have arrangements. When something happens to him, he knows where Marley's going to be placed.
Now, I'm looking at a cockatoo over there who is not, I don't want him to hear me, he is not a beautiful bird. I didn't say it, bird. He certainly is not, and obviously this bird is ill. You take in birds that are sick?
Well, it's not so much sick because we worry about illnesses, you know, contagious illnesses, because obviously if we took a bird in that was contagious, they can wipe out our entire flock. So all of our birds get a complete wellness checkup with our avian vet, including all the diseases and everything like that. And we do have some birds like Cy, who's now a permanent resident. He has cancer, he has heart disease, he's hypothyroid, so he's on 7 different meds a day. Doing much better because of that. But those kind of birds, yes, we will attempt to take in as well.
And he's with his girlfriend. You told me that he has lots of girlfriends?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a player.
Sick, but a player.
Yes.
Adoption. Let's touch on adoption for a while because you do adopt out birds here. What are the criteria?
Well, what we do is we have a 6-page adoption application, which basically gives us a thumbnail sketch of the family, the lifestyle, the levels of experience. They fill that out first and then submit the application, and then Karen, who does our adoptions, she's in charge of adoptions, will then review the applications and then give them a call and discuss the application with them at greater length, you know, if there are questions on it that, you know, she needs clarified. Once she's done with that, we'll set up a home inspection, go out, look at, you know, what kind of bird can fit in this house, you know, placement, safety hazards, meet everybody, and then once that's done, Karen actually takes and picks 2 or 3 birds she thinks might be a good fit for them based upon all the research she's done, and then has them come out to meet the rest of the birds that she has picked out and see if there's a good match.
And then how do you know that they'll be able to care for that bird? I certainly would not know what went into taking care of a macaw or a cockatoo.
Some of that is based upon the, you know, the research Karen has done and talked to them and seen their level of knowledge. And so she tries to match them with a bird that's going to be an appropriate fit. And if not, if they're still a good family and they just don't have enough knowledge, Karen has them come volunteer. Karen's also in charge of all the volunteer activities.
Sounds to me like you've got a full plate.
I do.
It sounds like it.
It's a lot.
Obviously an operation, I beg your pardon, that's another reason people get rid of birds.
That's, yeah, especially the cockatoos.
That's because they are quite loud. And they're messy. And people who think that they're only going to poop when they're on a stand, and people who think that they're not going to throw things on the floor, are very rapidly educated in the fact that they were all wrong. And I think that's a problem too for a lot of people. They just don't know. Which is why we're here trying to tell them. Going away from that, how many birds do you have here right now?
Roughly 65, with about 30 waiting to come in.
And how many of those are adoptable?
Every one of them.
Every one of them. What kinds of things does the organization need?
Biggest thing, obviously, is donations. Costs us about $50,000 a year to run the organization. We also are always in need of volunteers. And it doesn't just mean, I mean, the big thing is coming here, caring for the birds, cleaning the cages, rotating toys and things like that. But we need other things like, you know, marketing help, fundraising help, all those kind of things that we're just so busy caring for the birds that sometimes we can't take care of.
So in other words, you don't have to be adept at taking care of birds in order to volunteer.
No. No, we probably 50% of the volunteers we have now don't own a bird. They know they can't. Their lifestyle doesn't allow them to have a bird, the time, the commitment. So they come and they volunteer here. So you don't have to own a bird. I've got some really good volunteers that don't own birds, but they have a great time.
And we do need to mention that these birds cannot be kept 24/7 in a cage?
Absolutely not. You'll end up with the screaming, destruction, and it's just proper housing.
And when they bond, they really do like to be stroked and
they love it.
scratched. And
they love
they
to
like
be.
to cuddle. And
Yep.
if you're cautious and you can read the bird, you're not going to get hurt.
No, and again, it's, as we said before, it's stair-stepping. We're not going to put a first-time bird owner with a very large bird. When you make that mistake, which we all do, on being able to read their body language, we all take our bites. It's a lot nicer when it's a smaller bird. So we work very hard on placing birds in the appropriate home with the appropriate knowledge.
Yeah, and I've been here before. I've watched this operation grow from quite small to what it is right now. And you have two huge aviary rooms, two separate rooms. We are running out of time, guys. So what I'd like you to do is tell people who are watching the number they could call, the website they can find, A, if they want to volunteer, and B, this is one of those organizations that ekes out a living and takes in creatures that are very hard to find homes for and cares for them, and better than that, cares for them with love. Website, phone number.
Website is www.rescuethebirds, that's plural, .org, and the phone number is 847-509-1026.
These are really terrific people, and they're doing a terrific job, and they need your help. If you've got time to volunteer, it's a wonderful place to come to. If you can't and you want to help, every dollar helps feed and medicate these birds. I want to thank you both for having me.
Thank you.
And thank our feathered guests for behaving so well while we were here. Ami will now take you to Save a Pet and show you some of the dogs and cats that are available there for adoption.